c'est
Kudzu. The vines, the leaves, and the roots are all edible. You don't want to mess with the seed or the pod, but the leaves, you can use them just like you would spinach leaves. And just like with most greens, the younger the leaf, the more tender it is going to cook. You can make a tea from drying the leaves. You can cook the vine tops just like you would collard greens or turnip greens. And you can totally make any type of spinach dish using these leaves. The roots can be baked and eaten like a potato, or baked and dried and then ground into a powder that can be used as like a flour thickener. Now, am I going to go out and eat kudzu leaves every day? No, but I do like to know the food that exists around me. We all need to record things like this in a little emergency survival journal so that we have this information and are prepared if we need it. Besides, I know most people think kudzu is an extreme headache and is very invasive and takes over and kills trees, etc., but it's also quite beautiful.
And that's all I serve today is gumbo jam and fried chicken.
Basically, it's greens, lots of them.
Today we have turnip greens, spinach, we have mustard greens, kale, Swiss chard, we put cabbage in it. Usually we used to put peppergrass in it. The Creoles would go around, but you can't find the peppergrass anymore. So I use watercress and arugula and give it that little bite.
You grind them all and boil them down with onions and a lot of seasonings in it. Spicy Creole sausage, ham, chicken, and stewed meat.
It's a lot of work.
But the real secret, it's a numbers game.
You have to put uneven numbers. Even numbers, bad luck. So you put uneven numbers of greens. I say you will acquire a new friend for every green I have in the pot. So if I do 9 greens, you're going to get 9 new friends. And one of them will be rich.
Well, hopefully I'm in that pot, one of your friends, but I don't know if I'm the rich one.
We get the rich friend. Hello, Jackie. Oh, my goodness, Jackie, you're here.
For a Holy Thursday.
Thank you so much. This lady has been coming for years. years.
Yeah, we've gone white together, I think.
Look, let me bow to you. I'm gonna bow to you right now. That's what I'm gonna do. You look good, girl.
I'm hanging. But they come, I don't care who you are, you coming on Holy Thursday to get that couple.
No, that's a big deal in New Orleans.
It's a big deal.
They
It's a
look
big
forward.
deal in this house. We served about 1,500 people
1,500 people.
on Holy Thursday.
Wow.
And we served out. It's so much fun.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Vodou Day. New Orleans International Vodou Day exists to restore rightful dignity, authority, and global recognition to the Vodou, and Voodoo family of traditions. Our mission, purpose, and the motive behind New Orleans International Vodou Day forms a single coherent vision to protect, unify, and elevate Vodou, and Voodoo as living world traditions with deep ancestral, cultural, and spiritual authority. Our mission frames NOIVD not as a festival, but as a cultural embassy for Voodoo worldwide. NOIVD responds to the urgent needs of this moment, a time when Voodoo is simultaneously sought after, while yet misunderstood and misrepresented. Our purpose unfolds across several dimensions. NOIVD exists to protect the traditions from harm. New Orleans International Vodou Day confronts misrepresentation in the media, exploitation by uninitiated practitioners, cultural theft and commodification, historical trauma, and colonial narratives. And by establishing standards of authenticity, New Orleans International Vodou Day becomes a shield for the traditions and the communities that carry them forward. New Orleans International Vodou Day serves as a platform for public teaching, ceremonial demonstrations, scholarly dialogue, youth and community education. And this ensures that what the world learns about Voodoo comes from real practitioners, not stereotypes or outsiders. And we continue to strengthen international cultural diplomacy through partnerships with the Republic of Benin, Haitian cultural and spiritual leadership, New Orleans cultural institutions, and global diaspora communities. NOIVD positions Vodou as a legitimate world religion with diplomatic presence and cultural power. And we continue to invite your continued support, participation, visitation, promotion of these events, donations, and sponsorship of this powerful legacy and expanding international endeavor. Please continue to visit us for connection and more information about participating, volunteering, and supporting our symposium, our Afroecology exhibit, and art exhibition. And then, of course, our youth programs at Xavier University. Our procession from the river to Congo Square, and our sacred ceremony held at the New Orleans Healing Center. We are thankful for your continued support and participation on all social media platforms. And for those who participate and support this podcast live in chat and always in archive at your leisure and convenience. And do join us live on platform with your mic, camera, or photo by way of our QR code in the upper left corner of the screen or our Streamyard URL scrolling. Please continue to visit us for connection and more information at vodouday.org, VODOUDAY.org. Our NOIVD QR code is at the bottom right corner of the screen. And we certainly are thankful and appreciative again of those who show up and support us here live in chat. Greetings, Daniel Neal, our beloved, faithful community member here on the ground, hands-on, grassroots, but also in this virtual space. We're certainly thankful for those who continue to join us by way of our individual and collective Facebook pages, profiles, and groups, our international audience, and particularly our multilingual audience that joins us by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, and always thankful for those who do join us and participate by way of IG, Instagram. Tonight, we're going to talk about something very important, very powerful, and we certainly invite your participation and your support. Root work, conjure, and medicinal plants. So come on in, join us, open your mic, open your camera, or type your questions and comments in the chat where we can see them, and we'll do our best to respond. I will be unmuting our beloved co-hosts momentarily. Our moderator, the Tony Val Martinez, the Queen Mother, thank you so much for your continued support and participation. And my second priest, Tyson Horn, also our executive director and producer of Respect the Voodoo, an initiated member of my house, as well as an initiated member of La Source. We certainly do thank you for your continued support and participation. When we speak of root work, conjure, and the living intelligence of medicinal plants, we are not talking about superstition, hobby magic, or the shallow theatrics that Hollywood has sold to the world. We are talking about an ancient, disciplined African science of spirit, land, lineage, and healing. A science that survived the Middle Passage, rebuilt itself in the New World, and continues to breathe through the streets, porches, backyards, and river banks of New Orleans, Louisiana today. Give me a moment here to clear my screen, y'all. In the motherland, in Ouida, in Benin, in Dahomey, in the Congo, and in Yorubaland, plants were never just plants. They were teachers. They were elders. They were archives of memory. They were extensions of the spirits themselves. And when an African healer reached for a leaf, a root, a bark, or a resin, they were reaching for a relationship that had been cultivated for thousands of years. And when those same healers were forced into the belly of ships, chained and carried across the ocean, they carried that knowledge inside their bodies, inside their dreams, inside their bones. This is how root work was born in the New World, not as imitation, but as continuation. And here in New Orleans, root work and conjure evolved into Creole science shaped by African cosmology, indigenous plant knowledge, and the brutal realities of enslavement. The swamps became pharmacies. The river became a sanctuary. The gardens behind shotgun houses became laboratories of survival. And the plants, oh, the plants, became the bridge between the old world and the new. Take sassafras, a tree that carried both medicine and mystery. In the hands of New Orleans root doctor, sassafras was not just for gumbo filet. It was for purification, for cooling the body, for clearing the spirit. Or red pepper, which became a weapon of protection and justice, a fire medicine that traveled from West Africa, war charms, into Louisiana conjure bags. Or mint, which carries cooling, calming, and clarity, a plant used in both healing teas and spiritual baths to settle the mind and open the way. And then there is Tabasco, a plant that was never native to Africa, but became deeply woven into African diasporic ritual. In New Orleans voodoo, tobacco became a medium of communication, an offering, a way to carry prayers upwards. It became a symbol of authority for male practitioners, a sign of presence, a sign of power. Root work in New Orleans is not random. It is not chaotic. It is not anything goes. It is a system, a disciplined, ethical, ancestral system rooted in African cosmology. Every plant has a spirit. Every spirit has a temperament. Every temperament has a protocol. And every protocol has a lineage. When a New Orleans root worker prepares a bath, a tea, a wash, a gree-gree, they're not simply mixing ingredients. They are invoking relationships. They are calling on the ancestors. They are negotiating with spirits. They are balancing heat and coolness, fire and water, elevation and grounding. They are practicing a science that is both physical and spiritual, both medicinal and metaphysical. This is why root work and conjure cannot be separated from authentic African traditional religious systems, because the plants themselves are part of the cosmology. They are part of the pantheon. They are part of the spiritual ecosystem. In Voodoo, in Vodou, in New Orleans voodoo, in hoodoo, in conjure, plants are not props. They are participants. And in New Orleans, this plant-spirit relationship took on a unique flavor. The city is a crossroads, a place where African, indigenous, Caribbean, French, Spanish, and Creole traditions collided and fused. The humidity, the heat, the river, the swamp, the storms, all of it shaped the medicine. All of it shaped the magic. All of it shaped the way plants behave, the way spirits move, the way rituals unfold. This is why a New Orleans root worker can walk into a yard and immediately know which plants are speaking. They can look at a fig tree and see abundance. They can look at a mulberry and see ancestral nourishment. They can look at a dragon fruit cactus and see resilience, fire, and boundary. They can look at a patch of mint and see clarity, cooling, and peace. They can look at a banana tree and see survival, sweetness, and the memory of the tropics. Root work is not just about what a plant does. It is about what a plant means. It's about how a plant behaves, how it grows, how it responds to heat, water, and stress, how it interacts with other plants, how it mirrors the spirit world. In African cosmology, plants are metaphors for human life. They are mirrors of the soul. They are extensions of the ancestors. And in New Orleans, they became extensions of the city itself, a city that refuses to die, refuses to forget, refuses to surrender its spirit. So when we talk about root work, conjure, and medicinal plants in the New World, especially in New Orleans, we are talking about a living tradition, a breathing tradition, a tradition that has survived colonization, enslavement, suppression, and misrepresentation, a tradition that continues to evolve, continues to adapt, continues to speak, and most importantly, a tradition that continues to heal. Because at its core, root work is not about fear. It's not about spectacle. It's not about manipulation. It's about healing, healing the body, healing the spirit, healing the community, healing the lineage, healing the memory of the people who crossed an ocean and rebuilt a world. And as my beloved co-hosts begin to unmute and join the conversation, let us be mindful. This is the medicine of New Orleans. This is the science of the ancestors. This is the living fire of African spirituality in the New World. And tonight, we honor it. And we honor you for continuing to support us and join us here live Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please do come on in, Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez, and Brother Ty Horn. Greetings and salutations. What say you and how you doing?
Hello, everyone out there on the panel and the listening audience. I hope everyone is having a great night. Brother Tyson, welcome back. It's been a minute since I've seen you on the panel. How are you? Hello? Oh, well. It's a lot of stuff that we could keep, that we need to keep in our pantries at all times, like cinnamon and cayenne pepper, cloves. Cloves are called upon in a lot of conjure, whole cloves. It's just so much stuff that we could keep. Mint. You could keep it in your freezer. Cinnamon is my big thing. I must have like 5 or 6 containers of cinnamon. Because cinnamon, a lot of people think that it's conjuring or it's voodoo, when it's actually proven to be a part of aromatherapy, actually, with cinnamon. When there's a lot of, when my kids were younger, and I had 6 kids, and they were off in their little groups, and I got one group over there arguing and another group over there arguing, and it was just too much arguing, I would go and put on a pot of boiling cinnamon. Just like that. Nothing else, just cinnamon. And the house would calm. And it's like, oh, that's some kind of voodoo or something. No, it's the smell of the cinnamon that gets into the senses. And it reminds you of pleasant things, of baking pies and holidays and stuff like that. And you just kind of calm down. A lot of conjuring called for cloves to be added, and cloves to be added in gree bags also. I was thinking earlier, you brought up the mint and stuff. I was thinking earlier, going back to conversations me and my mother had, a lot of those herbs could be found by the river, by waterways, by creek beds. And I thought it was because they grew there basically because of the water, that like they just grew there. But my mom had told me that during our ancestors' enslaved periods, a lot of plantation owners would not allow the slaves to grow anything extra. Some would allow them to have small gardens, but some wouldn't, because they wanted the enslaved people to be totally dependent on getting everything they needed from them. So our ancestors found ways to plant what they needed in areas that the masters and the overseers didn't go to. And most of those areas was by the water. By the water,
Yes.
and they planted them there because they didn't have to water them constantly. They didn't have to tend to them. They just go there when they needed them, and they would be there. You know, they just grew. So hello?
Sister Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you
Yeah, we
now,
can
Brother
hear you.
Tyson.
Okay,
How you
yeah.
been?
Good. How you doing? I'm sorry about the technical difficulty. The mic went out, but I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to be able to let you know that I'm here and I'm engaging in the conversation with you, and I definitely want to pick your brain about something You know, so I'll let you finish your thought about being planted by the waterways, so that way
Yeah,
you can
like
have ready access to it.
our ancestors planted, you know, peppers and even watermelons, the seeds that they could get from quote unquote the big house that was thrown out. I mean, they would plant them by the waterways and let them grow. The what we call, there was wild onions, and they would find a patch of wild onion and transplant it to their special areas where the healers would know where to get stuff and special seeds they ran across. And it was a network. One person may have been out and found something, seeds to something, and they would save them and bring them to the big mama of the plantation or whoever the healer was and say, look what I found. What can you do with these? And they would go and plant the seeds by that waterway, by that creek, you know? So, I mean, when we think about parsley and sassafras, well, that's the big tree. And at one they would grow in the bay leaf tree, you know. And like I said, I that would be my thing. If I went back in time, I would want to find out who was the first to discover that this was good for medicinal purposes. Who was the first one to cook with bay leaf and realize that it made food taste good in certain foods like beans and stuff like that. And we oftentimes take a lot of stuff that we have in our kitchens on a regular for granted. And it's a lot of things, like I say, we should get, and y'all can look it up and find out, you know, the things. People think salt and pepper is your basic. Salt, pepper, and garlic powder, onion powder. No. You need paprika. You need crushed red peppers, not just for your pizza. But Brother Tyson, you had a question
Yeah.
you wanted to ask?
Well, you know, it's the question is going to come. You know, I'm long-winded, so I try to fit in here. But it's interesting that, you know, the topic for tonight, the Divine Prince presented, is something that I have been for the past several weeks now. You know, I've been absent a little bit, but I have been planting herbs and planting vegetables. But for me, I have been doing some personal experimentation, if you would, because I feel like I have not been diagnosed with, but I feel like, you know, my gut, my personal gut, and I try to eat pretty clean, but I felt like something wasn't right. I'm always eating and feeling bloated. I could eat something small and not really eat a whole day, and then I'll still feel bloated, gaining weight, and craving different things, craving a lot of sugar, craving a lot of stuff. And Divine Prince, one time, a long time ago, we did a reading, and he was like, "Man, you need to watch your blood sugar. You know, make sure you don't become, you know, pre-diabetic or diabetic." And so I have been looking into a lot of natural teas and foods to try and clean out my intestines, because if there's any parasites or anything inside me that don't need to be there. I know we have good bacteria and bad bacteria in our guts, and I know that from working, you know, from doing the work that I do in our documentaries and all that stuff, you know, I've talked to nutritionists, and there's over a trillion microorganisms that live inside our intestines, and there's a lot of things going on there. But I didn't know that pumpkin seeds were good for expelling intestinal worms, or like right now I'm literally drinking it's a root, a bark of a tree, but it's called palo azul, and it's just like a little, you know, piece of wood, for the lack of, you know, for the description, but it's a digestive tea, and it helps out with, you know, other benefits, you know, like kidney health, and it's a detox, and it's a you know, diuretic flush, and it also works with inflammation and joint pains and so forth. And so I've been doing like Palo Azul. I've been doing like, Jerusalem weed, and I had some fried, wasn't fried okra, it was boiled okra. I think I probably preferred the fried okra, but I never grew up really eating okra. My grandmother and all my family did, but I didn't like it. But I seen all the benefits of okra, and it's like okra is good for digestive and gas and bloating and constipation and so forth. I just never knew that.
Well, there are definitely
go ahead.
several roots. I mean, that's right up my alley. But it depends on what your symptoms are. For example, dandelion root, classic liver gut bitter, reduces bloating and supports bile. But we've been conditioned and programmed that dandelion is a weed. And it's actually one of the most available edible plants that our ancestors were very well aware of. Even our government was aware of, and started sort of this campaign to get us to kill everything in our yards and replace it with a green lawn and stop using these products. Chicory root, major prebiotic bitter, excellent for microbiome balance. Yarrow, which I grow quite a bit of in my yard, calms spasms and supports gut lining. Then there are what they call carmatives that reduce gas and cramping and fermentation, like mint, lemon balm, ginger, and certainly fennel, which is a top tier herb for bloating and gas. There are plants that help to heal the gut lining and soothe inflammation. Marshmallow root, deeply soothing. Slippery elm reduces inflammation. And aloe vera inner fillet. When you cut open the aloe vera and take out that gel,
the gel,
it supports healing and motility. Sister Tony mentioned cinnamon. Scientists now demonstrated that cinnamon helps in lowering and keeping your blood sugars in control. There are also antimicrobial and microbiome balancing herbs like oregano, excellent for gut infections, thyme, garlic, and berbeine plants like golden seal and barberry, which are potent herbs that can be used. And then there are prebiotic greens, sweet potato leaves, which I eat almost every day, sauteed sweet potato leaves, chicory greens, Jerusalem artichoke, and certainly moringa, which is a anti-inflammatory prebiotic fiber. So there are definitely healing in the plants, healing in the earth, healing in the ground that we have been taught to walk over, that we've been taught to kill, that we've been taught to pull up, and it's not necessary. But there is nothing in my yard, not a plant, not a quote unquote weed, that does not have a purpose, a meaning. I really don't allow anything to live and survive in my yard that does not have a purpose.
Yeah. No, speaking of yards, like, well, I don't know where I was seeing, but it was like, it wasn't until a certain time frame in our country that yards went from a place to grow and plant your foods to a sign of wealth, where it's like, hey, I have so much money that I don't need to plant all my foods in gardens in my yard. I could just have a manicured lawn and show, my status. But, having a home or having a place or having, pots to put your herbs and stuff in, that's important. It's like I'm really realizing how important it is to be conscious of this stuff. And so I wanted to ask Sister Tony, like, how often when you prepare your foods, are you going in with the concept of, I'm going to make a dish because I need this type of outcome, and then you use those ingredients, or you just say, well, I just want I just want this, and then you just happen to add something healthy to it. Like, how do you incorporate it into your regular cooking?
I don't really incorporate it into my regular cooking because for one, I didn't learn cooking like that. Really didn't. Whenever anything was needed medicinal, that was handled medicinally. Like tea, the only thing really was the garlic for the high blood pressure, really. But other than that, if you needed, if your feet were swelling, my mom didn't cook dandelion greens. You had to drink dandelion tea. You had to get it straight with no fillers and no mixes and nothing else but what that particular medicinal recipe called for.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, dandelion works better than fluid pills for me. My feet swell. Don't give me the fluid pills, the feeling bloated. Give me some dandelion tea. And in a week, I'm done. That's it. So, we went straight to it. Like no fillers. Food was food, medicine was medicine. And you took your medicine. Yeah, and you took your medicine as needed, just straight like that. But to answer your question, it was after World War II when all the military was returning home and they were getting married and everything, and they started building suburbia that the United States government attacked gardens and wanted to do what they call lawns, beautification. Every house had a yard, front and back, and they did away with the garden. And I think that was a part of their grand scheme. We don't want weeds. We don't want that. But all during the war, all the years of the war, it was, you have to plant a garden. You have to have a victory garden. They were doing awards for the best garden, because they were, this government, it just plays mind games. A lot of the fresh fruits and vegetables, like tomatoes, were being canned and sent to the soldiers. As for the war, the factories were taking a lot of the fresh vegetables, like the peas and stuff, and canning them and sending them to the war. So they weren't on the shelves, and they were rationed, like sugar was rationed and flour was rationed. So grow a garden to get the extra food you need, because we sending it to the war effort. But when the war was over, the government once again want to get away from that and start building all these homes for these GIs to buy, because they were getting money from being, they were getting decent loans with the GI Bill, offered them special privileges. If you weren't brown or black, you had these privileges, and then they want to give you these nice manicured lawns. Don't just look so much better, because they didn't need us to grow our own food again. Black people always need to grow their own food. And that's just the way it is.
That's true talk.
And particularly now. If the pandemic didn't teach you nothing, if what's going on right now in our government ain't taught you nothing, and don't just plant, a few herbs. You got to really think, as Brother Ray Alexander is suggesting in the chat, you got to think about sustainability. So I also grow red kidney beans. I grow black-eyed peas. I grow black beans. You got to grow things that are not just, tasty or healing in the moment, but things you can thrive and survive on. Sweet potatoes, I can survive on that. Plantains and bananas, you can survive on that.
And them cow peas, my mama, that produce so many, they are high yielders. What my mama called cow peas, field peas, some people might call them. I know they called them cow peas at one time because once back in the day, they used to raise them for the cows to eat because they produce so much, so many pods, and you know they would dry them out and add them to feed the cows and stuff with. But you know, our people gonna say, "Look, that look mighty good. We gonna cook them things."
You know, cowpea is the umbrella term for many species of beans. Black-eyed peas,
Yeah,
crowder peas, field peas,
yeah,
southern peas.
yeah.
You
They used
know,
to be grown to feed the cattle,
Hmm.
but of
so black
course,
eyed peas.
our people found ways to bring that to the dinner table. They got some really good books out now, those by the Black authors that have the recipes and a lot of videos also on YouTube of how our great and great grandmothers fed their families. The original soul food that
You know,
you need to be looking into to make sure you have certain things on hand like cornmeal, grits, flour, that don't really cost a whole lot. You know, cornmeal, grits, flour. I like to take those 2-gallon and 5-gallon buckets that look like the paint buckets, rice, and fill those up. And like for the rice and the beans and stuff, drop a couple of bay leaves inside there. So, you know, it don't get any kind of little food mite in the inside that we used to have a problem with way back in the day. And drop them in there and rice and keep some things on hand. Those lids are very airtight and can hold enough to sustain a family for a while. You know, these
yeah.
days, I mean, you can put your tea bags in them. I mean, your teas in them, and just seal them up in there, and you know your other herbs and stuff, dried, and put them in those containers, in zip bags. You don't need a whole 2-pound container of peppermint, but you can zip bag them and just store them in there because they stackable and they neat and they out of the way. You can place them out of the way. At one time, my house, when they thought Y2K was coming and all the craziness was starting, and we were stacking up on beans and rice and cornmeal, I put those containers under my house because it was dry under there. My house was tall. And I packed them up and put plastic on top and sealed them and had them stored under my house. That was a cool, dry place, like a root cellar. So, you know, we have to start planning that things are going to get really, really, really bad. Like really bad. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
and we need to watch some videos of what other countries are going through right now, war-torn countries, and what the people are going through, because it's the year 2026 for them too. And they had their flat screen TVs, they microwaves, they electric cars. They have all that also. The area where they fighting in really is not what you would call a third world country. They was just as modernized as a lot of cities in the United States. You know, so we need to start planning and preparing to sustain our families for weeks and even months at a time. You know, they have a lot of sites online and they coming up through Facebook. If you have the right thing, I like to send my trolls a friend request so that I can see what's going on their page, what they're getting. I like to go on their page and see what kind of advertising they're getting. And they're getting a lot of stuff to buy these survival packs and food packs to survive with, and water purifying straws and tablets and all of this. And we need to watch what they're doing. And if we can, follow suit, because a lot of that stuff is not as expensive as you might think. A lot of those so-called preppers don't have a lot of money. They're not the rich ones, because the rich ones, they get in bunkers underground, you know. So
Yeah,
we
but it's
really need
just,
to prepare.
yeah, we just, you know, like sister, like what you were saying, just being prepared, having things, like what Brother Divine was saying, that, you know, things that you can sustain yourself with, things that you could. And I think everybody, I think every family should have. I know I have with my family, but they should have a plan of what are you going to do should the supermarket. I mean, we all experienced it. I mean, New Orleans experienced it way more than anyone else when it comes to that. When it be with things like Katrina, but you know, during 2020, when the supermarkets were bare and there was nothing going on, nothing, you know, nothing that you couldn't get anything, and everybody was, you know, trying to stock up. You know, you should always have a plan for your home. But what you're both touching on is just sustainable foods, sustainable things that you can keep just to protect yourself, because you know, we live in a very privileged society, and you're right. You know, over places like Ukraine and so forth, those are very modernized places, and you know, if we're so used to being able to just go to the grocery store, but in some areas where there's like food deserts, they only have the corner grocery store. They don't really have the ability to go out into the different, you know, suburbs, if you would, to get these, you know, grocery store and get all their items. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, preparation and planning goes into it. But I appreciate this talk, and I'm looking forward to more conversations like this, because it's like, you know, I tell you, it's times like these where I really miss my older family, that, you know, I should have paid attention more when it came down to those recipes and those things. But you know, as long as you it's never too late to learn something. It's never too late to make a change.
And before I turn the mic over to Divine Prince to acknowledge all the people in our listening audience, one very important staple to have a lot of on hand that I feel a lot of people don't think about, and that is salt. Please have a supply of salt. Keep it in a dark, cool, dark, dry place. Salt will be very important to us. Divine Prince, take it away.
Ashe. And again, we're certainly grateful for your continued support and participation in this live Monday through Friday weeknight 9 p.m. podcast. But we continue to invite you to join us, participate, volunteer, sponsor, donate, continue to support our ongoing GoFundMe campaign, and be a part of our New Orleans International Voodoo Day, now in its 4th year. We're off to a resounding start. I just can't tell you how far ahead we already are for our annual events for 2027, and we continue to invite your support and your participation. Thank you for those who tune in and listen and participate by way of Facebook, all of our individual as well as collective Facebook pages, groups, and profiles. Certainly our international listenership by way of LinkedIn, our multilingual listenership by way of YouTube and Twitter X, and always thankful for those who join us by way of IG, Instagram. The Lotus of 1,000 Petals, we certainly do appreciate you. Lady Jazz Black joined us. Thank you so much. Certainly, Raymond, we certainly appreciate your continued support and active participation. Lady Jazz Black, greetings and citations to you and yours. Katrina with love, we certainly do appreciate you. Preston Dupree, we certainly appreciate your participation and support. Plan X Play, thank you so much for joining us. Bonafide Zebu, we appreciate you. Bobbit Tsunami, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Beverly Edwards, 2831, We certainly appreciate you. Chris, I Morning Star, we certainly appreciate you. Indan Flora 01, thank you so much for joining us. Baltilia Fall, thank you so much for joining us. LeGrand Floor, we appreciate your continued support. Real Estates by Kivia, thank you so much for joining us. Jimmy Rowell, 1981, thank you so much for your participation. Zuki Baby joined us, thank you so much. Empress Nehemiah, we appreciate your continued support and participation. That Nurse with Faith, thank you so much for your presence. Urzuli, thank you so much for joining us. Ionix, thank you so much for joining us. Brother Joshua Nalantana, thank you for joining us from the West. We certainly are looking forward to your speedy return. CJD Fit 1986, thank you for your participation and support. Anis Licius, thank you so much for your continued support and participation from the Bronx. We certainly love the Bronx and New York. And we look forward to you all joining us again on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time by way of our scrolling Streamyard URL or by way of our QR code, Streamyard QR code in the upper left corner of your screen with the little blue ducky head in it. And again, I offer you divine, all blessed peace, love, joy, and prosperity. Until next time, remembering that all is truly and indeed a blessing. Odabo, Ayibobo, Asheo, and good night.
Shay. Good night, y'all.
Good night, everyone. Have a nice night.
Artificial fabrics is one of the silent killers in men. The polyester, the nylons, and those things.
Okay.
They are petrochemical derivatives. So it's plastics that you are wearing. If a man wears polyester boxers for a period of 2 weeks and they go and have their sperm count changed, it will be reduced to about less than 70%.
Wow.
Yes, because they all interrupt with the hormones and the women are wearing them. So we are having a lot of women in their early 30s, fertility issues, with hormonal issues. So many men with low sperm counts, they don't know what they're doing. It is in your kitchen and your clothes and your wardrobe. You are sleeping on polyester. Everything that you are working out in those polyester wear, that are working out gears. Your pores are open and the sweat and all of these things are going in there. That's where a lot of men are losing.
It's not breathable.
It's not breathable. And it is toxic. The material itself is toxic.
Right.
And it's going directly into your skin. What we don't know is we think when it's on the skin, it doesn't cause harm. But whatever you put on your skin causes more harm 70% of what you put inside. Because it goes directly in there, bloodstream. But when you take it orally, there's filtration systems in the body that takes care of a lot of that to pass it out through sweat and other things.
Let's go specific. Let's talk about, I have interactions with people. Let's talk about women's menstrual problem. There are lots of women who have irregular flows, and you talk about hormonal balance. Some of them have their testosterones very higher. What is the cause, and how can they lower that, or how can they bring it back to balance?
Sankofa. Going back to using the things the ancestors used. When they had their menses, the pad they are using that mostly are synthetic. It's absorbed directly into the body. And it causes a lot of, most of them are on birth control pills. They are natural ones that we can use. The oils and other things that you can, teas that you can use. But they are on a lot of heavy birth control pills. I have met people who have been on birth control pills for 15 years. And they've never had their menses. They were given a shot. So if your menses is not coming for 15 years, where do you think it's going? The body is reabsorbing things that it should be shedding to Asasia. And the food, the lipsticks, the women are under attack. The clothes, the hair creams, the relaxers is one of the top causes of fibroids in African women. And
in high cases,
the environment. We are not supposed to live in this high. environment. We go to Accra, get to Medina and look at the pressure. Everyone is rushing everywhere. They go and be in a concrete jungle. The rooms are square, so energy is stuck in the corners. And it's not breathable. Ancestors were living as Asia, what do they call it? Atakwame. Those are houses that are alive. And they had a community. A man could tell another man their problems. But now, as soon as you finish, it's on social media everywhere. So men are bottling up a lot of things inside them. We are not healing as a community.
Now, how, because people will be watching this and they're like, we've heard all that you're saying, but in this modern era that we are, man needs to work for money. They need to go to the offices. So how will they balance? How should they be able to? So let's fix this. Someone wakes up at 5 a.m., drives to work. By 9 a.m., they have their breakfast, go back to work, lunch, 12:30, closes at 5, and drive back home. This is the routine. Can you fix this routine? What should they bring into this type of lifestyle?
8 hours is for the job that pays your bills. At least 4 hours should be for you to develop your gifts and what you came into this way. You are not born to come and work for anyone. That's how the Babylon system steals your energy. It is a system. And they want to keep you there without waking up. So they entrap you with debt and other things. So I always tell the youth that comes to me, don't be so caught up in the matrix that you can't find your way out. It is killing the fear. Sometimes doing for self takes a lot of courage. But the beginning of your new life is at the end of your fear. People can know that they have other gifts they can do, but they focus all their energy, letting Babylon take your spirit. So when you are strong in your youth, they will overwork you. And when all your energy has been sucked, they put you on pension and they come home and die.
You can't do anything for yourself.
You can't, but never do that. And the system is afraid of people who have found themselves. That's why they are poisoning the system with a lot of distraction and with deep entrapment. So you have to be very watchful of your patterns and see how to break free. When I wanted to break free from the matrix, mine was radical. It's not everyone who can do radical. But I stopped talking about the problems in the world and I started focusing on the solutions.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees. It's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Oh, do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Westside. He looks me in my eye and says, you only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.